Right. So, in the last session, we have discussed about the Guidewire configuration process, followed by the rating, how the rating can be made, right? So, all that we have discussed. As part of the Guidewire development, it's always important for us to understand about event messaging, right? So, this is something essentially required when we are working on Guidewire development. As a developer, Guidewire developer role we are working on. Always important for us to understand about how event messaging system usually works. Normally, event messaging system majorly focuses because generally if we wants to manage the kind of transactions which are being committed, normally whatever the insurance suits we have, we use a uh, messaging system, something like event messaging system, majorly to raise the data-oriented events. So when we are raising the data event oriented events and all, we need to understand about what are the different CRUD functionalities we have, like something like create or read or these, right? So CRUD events we must be knowing, right? Update, delete, all that. So adding these results and as well as adding the documents which are especially important whenever we are managing any kind of policy life cycle events or claim life cycle events, all that. In this process, when a policy is bound or if there is any kind of renewal or cancelled, uh, those things usually happen. There are some events which normally we need to manage as far as the event messaging system is concerned. Normally, if you understand about the event messaging system, there are different data flows we have. So the first one, let me write down here. Yeah, the first one about the transaction in insurance suit, right? So this is the first one which normally it sees. Second one will be as events fire. The third one about customer uh, event fire rules. Okay, so these are the different data flows which we normally see, right? So these are the major rules. Like for example, when there are understanding over the business rules which were identified by the business analyst, subsequently we have to make some changes on the messaging system. In this process, to understand that whatever the different rules we have, right? So what the kind of events or the kind of logic we are implementing, right? So all these things which has to be managed in regular intervals. So in this process, transacting the insurance suit from one extent to other extent is something essentially important, followed by what are the different insurance event files we have. Apart from that, we must be knowing about the customer written event file rules. All these things need to be known here. Next one, we must be knowing about event firewalls, majorly event firewalls. One more aspect, right? So one more data transaction flow, I can say, like, right? So we have event firewalls and all that. So event firewalls majorly creates a messaging for any of the downstream system destination. Normally we use payloads, right? So you know that, right? So there are different payloads which normally we use. All these are relating to the data. Majorly, what whenever there is an event, we are giving for an additional context. It could be an additional information about the claims or policies, our accounts. Everything comes under that category of event firewalls. That is to protect it. Next, when it comes to the event messagings or sending for the transport plugins, like when we are creating any custom written plugins or we are going to create any kind of transportation into the downstreams or any kind of transportation by using something like protocols like SO protocols and all everything by creating files. All these are different things when it comes to the event messaging through transport plugins, etc. Next one about event messaging, which is delivered for the downstream systems. It could be for medical review systems, or it can be fraud scoring, or it can be vehicle estimatics, right? So all these things, external systems, which majorly receives the event messages, everything comes under this category. Last but not least, we need to understand about the downstream system, which majorly responds according to the event messages, which may be including and triggering an action, whichever is required whenever we are following any kind of transactional flow. Majorly, it requires customers to write some code we normally use, right? So GOSU programming code, as I stated, right? So GOSU integrations we need to do. GOSU integration code we need to develop, right? So whenever they are implementing integration code, which normally part of the insurance code, normally it changes the integration process wherein it can interfere or it can impact, which are going to identify the kind of business logics as well as integration logics when we are implementing the logics which are implemented in multiple locations of the application. So this is how generally this messaging system is what something which normally the event messaging system traditionally works. So being into the role of a Guidewire developer, it's always important for us to understand about this event messaging system. So based on the event messaging system, whatever we have understood so far, subsequent changes we have to make in the GOSU code. Finally, we need to implement this. This is what majorly about event messaging system. Tomorrow I'm going to discuss about rating configuration, that part, and how rating configuration will be made, and what are the business rules that are required to consider to do the rating configurations, in what way business analyst gives the requirement, in what way this rating configuration we do, especially from the developer point of view, that we are going to discuss tomorrow.